Talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright.
Good evening. Welcome to our NUFC Matters.
No, it's me. Actually, I got it's something that looks like me. But
I was going to say it's not Friday. Happy Halloween.
Anybody knocking at your door, Joe?
No, not yet. Not yet.
No, not yet. All the trick-or-treaters have been here. They've eaten us out of house and home. But as always, we are here to talk Newcastle United. And wow, another win, Joe. And this one, a comprehensive thrashing of Aston Villa. Sub on the Tyne is no more. They can sub in the Villa for the rest of their eternity, for all I care. But what a result. First half, not what we were expecting, to be honest. Villa came and harried and harassed us, but second half, wow. Newcastle United, when they turn it on these days, can turn it on, and that was brilliant, wasn't it?
You know, one of the things we've not seen for a long time, Steve, is gears. We've not seen levels, and yeah, I thought the first half was terrible. It was scrappy. I got that awful feeling that they'd come with one of them ridiculous game plans. They were doing everything they possibly could to break the match up. They were, lots of time spent on the floor. It seemed like every time we just got a bit of momentum, there'd be another injury that would break it up, and back at us they'd come. And of course, then the goalkeeper, there's that ridiculous moment where he's clearly got a head injury. Clearly the guy's not right. We ended up with about 10 minutes injury time, I think. And in the 50th of those minutes, obviously we get the penalty kick. And I think from the very second that whistle was blown, I think we just absolutely annihilated them, Steve. I'd love to know what Eddie Howe said to them at half time, because it was literally, we came out, we scored 2, we scored 3, we got the 4th, we hit the woodwork twice. We were unlucky on a few occasions. And, on another day, we could have beat them 7-8-0. And I don't think, given that second half performance, it would have flattered us, to be honest. We talked about it on Friday. Villa had that kind of, spring in the step a little bit when Gerrard went. Great result the week before, but they were nowhere near whether. I don't remember him really having a shot. I can't remember Nick Pope doing a great deal. I don't think they took a corner. If they did, it won't have been any more than 2. And we just went on and on and on. And of course, whenever you give the ball to Miguel Almiron 20 yards out, you know where it's going these days. And that was just a stunning finish. Big Joe gets his goal. We get 3 points. We're touching 3rd in the league, and we've smashed Aston Villa. So what a weekend.
Fantastic, mate. And great time to be a Newcastle United fan. And as I've said before, this used to be the 5-minute rant. Now I think we'll have to rename it the 5-minute rave or something, with it being at the Monday Club. It is fantastic. As always, plenty to talk about, as I say, tonight. And we'll get on our first caller. Darren beat everybody to it tonight, as usual. Darren, good evening, mate.
Hello, mate. You all right? How's it going?
Brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant, mate. And another great win. We saw you pre-match. You were buzzing, looking forward to getting up there. We were all full of predictions. I think in those, maybe a few weeks ago, we were a little bit, reluctant to make bold predictions. But there was a few 3-0s and 4-0s kicking around at the weekend. And
I thought 2-0 personally, or 2-1, but. The third side, you said, Joe, Villa just played the worst tactics ever to frustrate us. And it did kind of work a little bit because our passing wasn't great. Bruno Missed passing, Longstaff, missed passing. It kind of got to the players, you could tell. But then, and now the keeper situation, you should go up the pitch straight away. It's a head injury. It's disgusting that it can't go up the pitch.
Yeah.
It's not right. The rules are the rules. Head injury, concussion. Get him up the pitch for his own safety. Keep him on the pitch and he gets down to waste more time later on. But like you said, we got the goal at the right time, and you just knew we're going to win from there because Villa had to come out and play, and Villa couldn't play. They were useless. And we bossed them from the first minute of second half to the last minute of second half, from top to bottom all the way.
Any man of the match for you? I know it's always difficult when we have such a performance like that because there's, it's a team effort. But was there anyone who stood out for you, Darren?
Second, it's kind of kill Joe this like that. Sean Longstaff. I thought, I'd hate to say it, Joe, but he had a good second half.
I'll give you that one.
He's one of them unsung heroes on Saturday for the second half, mind you. He covered how much ground he covered, and now Callum Wilson got 2 goals. He's fair enough, but I like to look at the players who didn't get a mention, but it kills on that. I'm not sure Longstaff fan, like, to be fair, but you've got to give him credit, Joe. He covered some ground on Saturday in the second half, mind you, and he had a good game. And
played fantastically well, Darren, and I think one of the things for me, we touched on it last week, didn't we? Thinking about he's turning around all of a sudden now. There wasn't a great amount of competition. All of a sudden, you've got John Joe Shelby chomping at the bit. Longstaff's got the shirt. Longstaff deserves the shirt. And is it going to be a case of, I'm keeping the shirt? And I think that's fab. So I think long may it continue. But yeah, I thought he was excellent. Completely pick up on your point about Bruno. And again, here comes the controversy. Arguably, that was his worst game for Newcastle, particularly in the first half. He looked a little bit off it, didn't he? But again, it's nice, isn't it, that if he's maybe off it a touch, Longstaff's had a great game. Willock was steady away again. Joe Linton, and he's now out of position, going back up front, if you like. He got his goal, worked tirelessly, like you say, 2 for Wilson. But I think for me, again, being in the Defenders Union, I've got to look at Sven Botman. I thought they could have put anything into the box, anything at all. And a couple of times they got in behind. They were in behind Trippier. They were in behind Burn a couple of times, putting that ball into the box, and all day long it was just interception. So I thought Botman was absolutely tremendous. But yeah, I'll since it's Halloween, I'll give you Longstaff.
It's interesting. It's interesting, Darren. The Joe's picking out Bruno there because I've got to be honest. I did turn to my dad at the match and say that I thought that was probably Bruno's worst first half for us. Just nothing went right. Do you think it was a bit of pressure there with having the manager, the international manager, in the crowd?
I wouldn't say I think Villa just got they just come to do one thing to frustrate us and waste time, and like we'll stop starting. And yes, the international manager, but I think he's in the squad anyway. Bruno for Brazil, more or less. But Villa just come and just. We were sitting there, we're bored, but we're like 10 minutes at a time. It was just like disgraceful off their behalf. And I'm just glad we got the goal when we did, because the second half, we just knew we were going to win. Comfortable in the second half. But I was happy with how we played second half. Like I say, we didn't play, don't get wrong, we didn't play a bad first half. It's just, we're not used to having high standard. That's the trouble. So it's good to see, we're still winning. And
I just wonder if it's something we're going to have to get used to. The more we are winning, the more we're picking up points, the better we're playing. We're going to have to put up with the Evertons, the Aston Villas, the Bournemouths, the Palaces coming to St James's Park and just completely trying to wreck the game. I think it's something we're going to have to get used to, isn't it? But I tell you something, whatever was said at half time and whatever the lads did at half time, teams can come and spoil us all day long. If you come and attack us, you'll get the treatment Man City got. If you come and sit back against us, you'll get the second half that Aston Villa got. So, I think it was a great result. Great result. And the beauty, I loved it. I took a photo, actually, the beauty of the away end. They were quite vocal at one point, and then a couple of them went for a pint, and then 10 of them went for a pint. And before you know it, I think 1,000 half of them had gone. And there was only about, I think it was about 50 minutes left. And one of the lads said, they'll all be in Weatherby services now. And I thought, yeah, you're dead right. Clearly they'd had enough. It's just great. It just adds to it for me. I loved seeing them disappear. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I was talking to a couple of Villa fans on the way in the match, and they weren't looking forward, to be fair. Like you say, like they knew their team was in a bad state after Gerrard left them. And they said interesting things. So you were linked with Gerrard, and I know, but so glad we can get Gerrard, because, as I keep on saying, a lot of people, just because you're a great player doesn't make you a great manager.
Absolutely.
And that's what he's lived off, his name, to be Aston Villa's manager.
I think the big problem, not wanting to turn this into a Villa debate, but ultimately Tyrone Mings was his big downfall, because Tyrone Mings was the captain, and taking the captaincy off him and then dropping him for McGinn, who ultimately then didn't end up playing in the games. It's a strange situation. You live and die by those kind of decisions as a manager, unfortunately, and ultimately that's just the way it works.
Steve, look at it, but we've talked about it, and we look at the camaraderie. Look at the fact you talk about captains there. Jamal Lascelles came on towards the end of the game. What did Kieran Trippier do? He ran straight over to him. He took his armband off. He put it on the captain. He gave him a big pat on the back, and he said, "How are you? Get yourself on, mate." You can't see Aston Villa doing something like that. We're treating our captain like that. Whether people rate him or not, whether people think he should be playing or not, whether people think he should be the captain over Trippier, all irrelevant. The fact is, we treat our captain like that. What you're talking about there is Aston Villa couldn't decide who the captain was, who the best player was, and what to do with the squad. And like Darren said, you'd like to think that people like Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, for example, world-class footballers, you'd like to think they had a bit more football and nous about them. And I can't see. I think everything that Gerrard's doing is, you're living on your name. Eddie Howe wasn't a fantastic footballer. I think he'd be the first to admit that. But I tell you something, what he is a fantastic coach. And that's the thing clubs like Aston Villa and Everton don't have. It speaks levels for me. It speaks absolute levels. We looked up for it. We looked like we'd run through a wall for each other. They looked absolutely down and out.
Yeah, if you see a morale, the players, even watching YouTube, they're going in, they're giving it, even the staff high five, the security guards high five. It's so much morale in that team. It can't be broken. And for years we haven't had that. Even on the warm-ups, you got 6 coaches with the players doing the warm-up, 2 goalkeeping coaches, and it's intense warm-up. They were at work on Sunday morning, training again, got told. So that's what he wanted. He said, "I'm days off." He's like, get them. But I know, they're working hard. In the fair, they've only got 2-3 games left, and then have a little break. Yeah. And then, but they say, go Sunday. We'll go again Sunday. We're going to be afraid of. Southampton's not a great team. If we play how we're playing, get another win.
Yeah, good points all round, Darren. We've got a few waiting tonight, mate. So I just want to thank you, as always, for coming on. And I'm sure I'll catch you at the next home game, mate. So thanks, as always, Darren.
Bye.
See you, mate.
Good to have Darren on. And next up is our friend from America. Good evening, James. You're early tonight. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. I like this time change.
Well, it's because I've been filming today. I'm shooting a movie in Newcastle and surrounding areas, and today was the first day of filming. So we are going to be all over the place for the next couple of weeks with shows, but I am endeavouring to still make it for maybe not a live. There's plenty of pre-records done. But yes, tonight, here we are live. I'll be live tomorrow night as well with the Geordie's Here, Geordie's There show. But James, your caption tonight says, "Poor Villa. I detect a sense of sarcasm."
No, it's the truth. They were poor. They were very poor. You can tell they just came up for one thing, and that was a draw. The winning was the farthest thing from their mind, and they unsettled us for the probably 30, 35 minutes. And, once the penalty, once we got that, it was just, there's nothing else they can do. They had to try. They had to come out of the shape they were in and actually push for an equalizer. Once they happened, the floodgates opened, and it was a men among boys. Tyrone Mings, I'm just really glad that he's on the England squad, because that means we have a chance if he starts the U.S. In that match. I mean, Ollie Watkins, terrible. I mean, they've got high-priced players that, quite frankly, should look like first division players yesterday. It wasn't even close, and I love it. I mean, I'm not used to it, but I love it. Being able to enjoy a nice morning of football. Nothing bad to say about them. It's nice to know you can give them an entire half, and still be able to comfortably win the match. Should have been 7. I don't know who Jacob Murphy's shooting coach is, but he has, for some reason, him in the crossbar, him in the post. I mean, it's go up to the edge of the box and try to kick the post or the crossbar. Take 10 shots, and you might hit 4, maybe. He does it every time. I mean, it's amazing.
He's just so unlucky. He's so unlucky. I'd love to know what the stats are for how many times he's hit the bar and post. But I give him special praise, James, because he came on. It's sometimes difficult to come into such a fast-flowing game. He came in and he just hit the level straight away. And that's down to the coach and staff. They've got everybody. They know what job they're doing as soon as they come on, James.
He did well when he came on. He's just unlucky. And I don't know what they can do, but if he hits one, that's all he needs is one goal, and just get him on a roll, because I'm sure that's in the back of his mind every time he shoots. I mean, look at Miggy last year. It's just, you knew if he was going to take a shot, no confidence. It was probably going to hit where the old pigeon was up on the gallery. But that, and also Miggy is my main match. He was unstoppable. His link-up play with Bruno, especially second half, his runs, they had no answer for him. He could do whatever he wanted. And that goal, I mean, Hal is the manager of the month. Miggy's the player of the month, and he gets the goal of the month. He has the same amount of goals as Holland this month. And if they don't get to, have a clean sweep with that, then it's just travesty.
Any other points you want to make tonight, James?
Yeah, I'm kind of mad at Joe. I asked him for a sure bet. I didn't need you anyway. I went 70% on my NFL games, but I'm gonna get you a shirt that says Sob on the Tide, with the Sob being SOB, because you won't give your son of a what, but I'd love one tip. I'd like to add one soccer bet onto my Sunday, but Joe's he's being stingy.
I promise I'll share one with you. I'm just going. I'm more disappointed with Steve, because he said when our friend from America was coming on, I thought it would be Kevin, not you.
Kevin is waiting. He is waiting.
Oh, there you go. Then, yeah.
You like that? You're being kind to him because it was his birthday at the weekend.
No,
James,
I will, Jimmy, and I'm sick of telling you as well. NFL, it's not a real sport. It's a wrong shaped ball. You've got to stop watching it.
Well, apparently there's 86,000 in London yesterday for two of the worst teams we have in the league. I mean,
Tottenham and
that
Chelsea.
says something. That I mean, the NFL. What you will have an NFL team in London within the next 10 years. So just get used to it.
I might be washing my hair.
Yeah, whatever. Hater. Such a hater. I mean, hell, I'll watch cricket.
Oh, don't watch cricket, dear mate. It's like watching paint dry times that. 2020 maybe. But anyway, James, as always, we've got plenty of callers coming on tonight. So thank you so much for giving up a little bit of your time to share your thoughts tonight, as always. And I'll be seeing Melly Barnes this week on set, and I will pass on your best. He's a happy chappy after another good win for Manchester United.
Ask him what it feels like to be looking up at Newcastle.
I will. That'll be the first thing I say to him when I see him on Wednesday. All right, James. Take care, mate.
Okay. Take it easy.
Bye-bye. Good to have James on as well. And hot on his heels in the green room was Alan. Good evening, Alan.
Hi, lads. I didn't think I would be on so soon. Sorry.
Yes, you just came in behind James, mate. Next up will be Donald. We've got Paul and then Kevin tonight. So good to see you, mate. Okay, give us your words of wisdom from the weekend's game.
Well, I was actually there, Steve. I managed to get a ticket.
Wow.
And, just to mention, Steve, Joe, I actually saw Paul Gallant at the game. So wish him well. I only saw him for a couple of minutes. He came up to us and he came up the ground and had a bit nervous tension because he said 4-0 on the show, and then he mentioned it was going to be only 3-0, but he got it spot on. So good on Paul. I said 2-1. I managed to get a ticket at the last minute, Steve, so I was over the moon to see the game live.
Brilliant.
Also, just a little mention, Steve, Joe, I don't know if you've been, but 50 years ago, 52 years ago now, I went to my first match, and there was a father, his young son, and he said it was his first game, and wow, another Newcastle United fan hooked. You know, I just remember it as if it was yesterday, Steve. Huddersfield Town, 1972 one. Would you believe it? Time flies. But to the game, lads, first half, scrappy. Basically, I had sweaty palms because I desperately wanted to beat these lot. And when Callum Wilson scored, I thought the game was over. That's the confidence, this defence it gives me, Steve, Joe. It's absolutely unreal. Second half, what a demolition job, lads. And I was genuinely shocked how badly Villa collapsed, mind, Joe, especially after the second goal. Genuinely shocked. But another point, lads, I know you mentioned it, Steve, not to make it a Villa show, but I do go on a lot of podcasts, and I went on the Villa podcast after the game, and since. And to a man, Steve, I hope you might make a section in the Three Amigos, because to a man, they all said on paper that their players were far better than ours. And I'm looking and I'm going, well, which ones on paper are better than ours? You could argue Lucas Dean if he was playing against Dan Burn, but I go through each one and I'm thinking, what makes you think that on paper their players are better? You know, and I do think it should be a good section, Steve, before we play teams in the future, to name their team and our team, and which players would you have in our team and vice versa, you know. But Villa on Saturday, I'm struggling to find a player that would get in our team, lads. Maybe it's the keeper, but that's 50-50 with Pope now. Really struggling to find out, because I couldn't put Danny Ings instead of Wilson. So you go through the team, and they're very bitter, lads. But I do believe they've got a good manager. I really do think Emery will sort them out in time on that score. But enough of them, lads. Southampton to come. Another bad place to play, like, lads. Don't want to put a dampener on, but our record down there is absolutely awful. Keith Rowe will have a field day on Friday or whenever he's on, like Steve. Or Andre, I think we've only won 3 or 4 times in 30 years there, lads, and 2 of them have been in the last 3 years. So not a happy hunting ground, but I'm looking forward to it. Keep it going. It'll be brilliant if we can pick up any sort of result, keep the pressure on the teams up above, and especially like Liverpool falling away. They're under immense pressure. lads. Jurgen Klopp's cracking up, Steve, Joe. He's cracking up. What's the odds of him getting sacked, Joe? What's the odds of him getting sacked? Must be getting a little bit more now.
Yeah, he's climbing the league.
You know, I thought, you know, again, this is the management of Eddie Howe. It's just incredible. I mean, I thought Murphy came on. The 20 minutes he had was one of the best he's ever played. He set up Wilson, hit the crossbar, hit the post himself, done some lovely little touches for the 20 minutes cameo role he had. And I thought, there's a player that I've never thought was up to the quality, but he's actually improving. Longstaff starting to get the confidence because of the run in the side, Joe, like you mentioned before with Darren and that, you know. Just the first half, a few, again, wayward passes, but that included most people in the first half, to be honest, on both sides. So all in all, could not be happier, lads. Could not. I mean, people are talking about fourth. I'm just keeping me same position, seventh, lads. Until we're in the final run in, till we're in 30 games played, we're in that section of fourth, third, fifth, then I'll change my mind. But Brighton was probably one of the worst results of the weekend, in my opinion, beating Chelsea. But then again, was it? You know, keeps them down. I'm looking forward to it. And please lay off there, Bruno, lads. I mean, he's just had a baby. He's probably tired after having the baby, man, watching the baby for the last week. You know, he might have had his poorest game for a while, but I can understand that if you've ever had children, you know, you're excited and takes a lot out of you, lads, feeding the baby. But no, he's still a magician in my eyes, lads, Bruno.
Well, he was still a 7 out of 10 at the weekend. There's no doubt about it. The second half revival was superb. He was great. But I think you're right. You've got to take that into consideration. And
people forget about people's family situations back at the ranch, barring football. You know, people expect people to be robots, and long may this run continue, Steve, Joe. We know it won't. I think when I'll be deciding that change my opinion of going higher in the league, Joe, Steve, it's Christmas, because we've been terrible at Christmas, Joe. If you look back in the records, Joe, I've been going to football matches on Boxing Day, and I think I only remember 2 wins in 40 years on Boxing Day, and we play Leicester away.
Yeah, the last time I went to Southampton, of course, there was a certain Chris Wood on the score sheet as well. That miss at the back end of the game, I mean, I was gutted for him, Alan. I just want to see him get a goal. He needs that bit of a confidence boost, doesn't he? Because, you know, I know fans aren't getting on his back because the team's doing well. But, you know, when you're out and about in bars and pubs, etc., people do say, oh, God, just get rid of Chris Wood. But, you know, I just wish that had gone in for the lad, you know.
He's just, the thing is, Steve, he's just a yard too slow, to be honest. If you notice, Shelby came on. I'm not Shelby's greatest fan now, lads. I think that the game's passed him by now. I think he's 30. I'd sell him personally, because if you've noticed, he gets booked and he gets sent off at times because he's always that yard too slow, lads, getting back. And in games like this, modern day, you've got to be quick all the time. He's got the vision, lads, but to me, if Longstaff keeps playing well, his position's his until we get an upgrade. Be interesting to see what we get in January, lads. Well, what we'll need. We definitely need another striker, without a doubt, in my opinion. And obviously, Madison and Trossi, who we've been linked with again, them two. If we got them two, lads, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant going forward. And long may it continue. Certainly now, I think even now, lads, in 52, when I was talking to Paul on Saturday, this defence, if it continues, is probably, as a unit, I'm talking about, lads, we've had some good individual defenders. I started with Pat Howard, Davy Craig, Bobby Moncur, Frank Clark, and then we're made for, and Tommy Gibb is the holding midfielder, as you would say it in them days. But they weren't in the same level as these lads.
And we actually had the luxury of taking my 2 centre halves off as substitutes. I mean, I've never known that in any of my eras as a Newcastle fan. I just take your 2 centre halves off and just, it was just absolutely mental. It really was. Quick one for you, Alan. I'll ask you a question before I bring Dunnell in. He's the next caller on. Thoughts on who replaces Joe Linton? Obviously got a yellow card, suspended for the next game. Eddie Howe's been very economical with the use of the players. He seems to like Longstaff and Willock in there. What's he going to do? Is he going to take a chance at Southampton and maybe give ESM a start?
That is $1 million question, Steve. It really is. I think he might be tempted to put Murphy in, to be fair, and put ESM on for about 30 minutes. It'll be a bold move if he does start ESM, Steve, and try him out for 60 minutes, just try and win the game in the first 60, and then I don't say it hold on, but because they're both quick players, it really will. I would put ESM on to see how he goes. I really would, to say we're going for it, lads. Don't be frightened, and like you said, be brave. But it
might be. It might be for me in terms of impact, because I agree. Murphy come on as if he'd been playing the full hour. He just hit the ground from minute one. He was at it, and I just wonder if there's a sense of, hang on a minute, we've just seen Joe Linton get booked, so I know next week there's a place in this squad. I know Sam Maximin's sitting next to me, and it's highly likely that he's going to come on. But I'm going to give Eddie Howe something to think about here. And if he scores that goal instead of hitting the bloody post all the time, if he was to put goals in, he'd be pushing that first team a lot more than he actually does. So for me, it's Murphy, and I think on merit alone. Don't forget he scored a goal not so long ago. He put that performance in on Saturday. So I think it's going to be Murphy. I'd love to see Ryan Fraser have the ability to come on and do that. Fraser kind of warms into the games, doesn't he? He kind of creeps into a game. But for me, I think on merit, he ain't going to change the midfield three. I don't think he's going to have a big swap around in the middle now, because he seems to have found a bit of a magic formula at the moment. So I possibly would, it'll be Murphy for an hour, won't it? And then you'll see Sam Maximin get his legs on for a bit.
Good point, that. Yeah, really good point. Just before you go as well, Alan, happy birthday to a player you will have seen, John Craggs, today.
Oh, yeah, mate.
Any
That's
good?
from the past. That's from the past, Steve, yes.
Good player. Yeah, before my time. But happy birthday to John Craggs. Alan, got 3 other lads to get on tonight.
Sorry, lads, for keeping you.
Alan, no, listen, always good to see you, mate. I will endeavour to let people know about next week. So hopefully
it was great to see Paul Gallant. It was great to see him.
Good stuff. Yeah, well, I bumped into Paul as well. He even bought a raffle ticket off us. He didn't win the raffle. That was like a comedy show in itself on Saturday. But I think enough said about that, the better.
Well, let's hope he's right with prediction, Steve. Top 4.
We will go to Mystic Paul after Dunnell. But for now, Alan, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Hey, Alan.
Good to have Alan on. Dunnell, welcome, sir. How are you?
Good evening. How are you, Steve? Good
very
evening,
good.
Joe, as well. Yeah,
hello,
good. Quick question, Steve. Are you doing your own stunts in the film?
We have a fight coordinator, and yes, I am doing as the good old Michael Crawford did back in the day. With some others do have him. I am doing my own stunts. Notice I'm comparing myself to Michael Crawford and not Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
But I am doing my own stunts. It's going to be good. People will enjoy it. It's not quite what people think. It's a modern day take on the story, but it'll be out. It's worldwide distribution on Amazon, Netflix, Sky. Comes out in December 23. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun putting something on screen, mate. So I'm looking forward to seeing the end result.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, on Saturday, first half. Scrappy. It was like that scrappy opening round of a boxing match. Villa came to hold on, clinch, while we were trying to punch. We got the penalty. Great stuff. It meant Villa had to come out. Second half, it was like it was punches and bunches from us, and we floored them with the 3 goals. And I'll just, that's how I would sum it up.
Yeah.
One thing I was a bit annoyed with was the because you know, player safety. Okay, it was the opponent, but player safety is paramount. I didn't get their club. If their goalkeeper was out like a light, his safety should have been paramount. You know, because he'd gone down twice. Clearly, it wasn't right. They should have acted quicker.
I think you're right. I mean, it was a strange situation. And obviously, when you're sitting in the stand, Donald, and you can't really see what's going on, you just see somebody spread-eagled on the pitch and getting attention. And obviously, you know, because we can't see what's going on, there's nothing on the screen that really can show us. You think it's time wasting, etc. But it was quite clear by the TV footage afterwards that this guy was in serious distress and didn't know where the hell he was. And I think Alan Shearer's suggestion on Match of the Day, Donald, about having some kind of timeout system where you can take somebody off for 10 minutes, they can go and be looked at, assessed properly, and then, you know, and so in essence, put a player on. The problem with this is, you know, I'm not saying all footballers are going to abuse that, but you will get somebody somewhere who will maybe try and abuse that system. So it's got to be done. It's got to be done properly. It's got to be. You know, there has to be a sensible medical assessment. That player needs to go off. And I don't know. That kind of decision done only gets sorted at the highest level, i.e. FIFA. You know, and I just can't see it. But it was a great suggestion by Shearer, as Colin says.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. And as far as performances go on Saturday, I mean, J7 put in his usual, you know, top-notch performance in the middle. I mean, I think for most people, he's becoming a favourite. And I tell you what, adding to J7, I do like Miggy. I mean, Miggy's got that air about him. As soon as he gets that ball on his left foot, it's like, I've got this. It's going in. You know, it's going to be a worldie. And you know, the kid smiles when he's playing, and you can tell he's like oozing enjoyment, you know, from his football, and that's great to see. And Murphy, I would say, as soon as he gets his first goal, he'll be like Miggy. That confidence will come to score. So, as soon as goal number 1 goes in, numbers 2, 3, 4 will follow with Murphy. At the minute, like a good Geordie, he's hitting the bar, but you know. He's definitely you know,
it's a confidence thing, Joe, isn't it? With Murphy, I think at the moment, and Chris Wood, they just need a little bit of a break of luck. The stats, I love the stats that they Keith put in there. He goes, it was, I've lost it now, but it was the stats about 29 points in 15 games, I think, that Chris Wood had. So that was pretty good. Pretty good stat.
You just need that rub of the green, don't you? I mean, take Murphy's strike alone. It's a cliche. Could he have hit it any better? He beat the goalkeeper. He whipped it, and there it is, bouncing off the post. You know, and your heart goes out. But you know what? He was in the position. He was brave enough to take the shot on. He could have just squared it, or he could have gone backwards or whatever. But that's the confidence that you're talking about. That's the Miggy Almiron that Donald's talking about. You know. There's the goal. I've got the ball on me on my correct foot, and I'm going to have a shot. So yeah, it'll come. And you know what's nice? What's nice is that if and when that does come, there's another bloke in there who we know can score goals, and that's Joe Willock. He hasn't scored for God knows how long now. So if all of a sudden, so Wilson's your goal scorer. If all of a sudden one goes in off Chris Woods' backside. If Murphy can aim 3 inches to the left or right and stop it, and he'll score. If Joe Willock finds his feet, you know, Bruno's weighing in with a goal. Joe Linton doesn't score anywhere near as much as he should, but he was there. You know, all of a sudden you've got goals in the side. And again, we've been over-reliant for years and years and years on a centre forward to score a goal. And I think all the top teams, what you tend to notice is as top teams develop, goals just fly in left, right, and centre from all over the place. I still can't understand with the heading ability of Shah, Botman, and Byrne that our centre halves don't score more. But again, that'll come. You know, look at Wilson's goal. We done a lovely little corner routine. I've never seen that before. The defender didn't know whether he was at the park on the pitches. Miggy, lovely little back heel. Trippier puts it in, and Wilson's there. So again. if we're starting to work on set pieces, hopefully the goals will come from the lads. So yeah, it's great to see, isn't it? Just going back to the concussion thing, if I may, the bit about Shearer's suggestion, I get it. It's a wonderful idea, but for me, it's slightly disappointing that we have to get that far, because a medic should be able to tell that somebody's knocked out and something's not right. So all this go and sit in the sin bin for 10 minutes and all that and let us do a thorough assessment. I'd like to think that if, from someone in my profession or certainly someone in a medical profession, you can spot the concussion, there's a head injury, the guy's not right. And that could have been really, really nasty. The guy played on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It innocuously caught the ball. It was a cross into the box. He caught the ball and the lights went out again. He didn't know where he was. And obviously had to come off. So maybe some questions just needed to be asked about the medical team there. And how far does tactics, how far are you willing to go to keep a clean sheet or to get all the points, while you're putting your players at risk? That concussion protocol was there for exactly that. And unfortunately, it's failed him.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, other sports have it. Rugby has it. American football has it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, just putting it in simple terms, football is a contact sport. Injuries will happen. Injuries happen, and you've got to have the protocols in place to make sure the participants are, that their safety is paramount. So
fundamental basics, though, Donald. We're too busy worrying about what colour the magic spray should be, or measuring shadows on VAR. There's something fundamentally basic, isn't there? About we've got a lad there who's clearly been knocked out.
He's been
on the floor for 10 minutes. Don't forget. Let's look after him first before we start messing about with what colour the corner flags are.
Who cares about them? Who really gives a monkey's bottom about the colour of corner flags, isn't it? What you call it? It's the players and the result at the end of the day. But hey ho, roll on Sunday against Southampton. I think we can do a number on them, and we'll be sitting pretty.
Yeah, good. It's looking good going into the World Cup break for Newcastle. Fantastic. And then the Cup game and then Chelsea. So only a few games left, but definitely great stuff, Donald. Thanks as always for popping on, mate.
Anytime.
Great to have your opinion, mate. Look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.
See you soon.
Bye. Before I bring Paul in, Joe, just want to ask what your thoughts are on this. BT asked the question, what do you make of the report that the Newcastle United Football Club Fans Against Sports Washing Group are organising a protest outside St James's Park on Saturday, the 12th of November? When will these ever tireless protests cease? And Dark by Design also asked the question, what does the panel think about the planned protests? I mean, I've had my say on it. I think we should just ignore it. I think these people are entitled to have their opinion and say what they want to say. But for me, I think anybody who sees anybody protesting outside the ground against a Chelsea game should just walk on by, as the song says, and don't interact. Just leave it, because what we don't want is unnecessary scenes outside St James's Park when things are going so well. If it's going to be a silent protest by these people, let them get on with it. As I say, they're more than entitled to their opinion. But I just find it a bit annoying. But that's my opinion. What do you think, Joe?
I feel exposed now without Hasty and Mitch. I don't know where to go. Listen, you're exactly right, Steve. We live, the beautiful thing about the democracy that we live in is you've got a free speech and you've got freedom to protest and say what you want about whatever you want. In the same vein, if it was a takeover advocacy service that we're kind of celebrating the Saudis, then we'd be there and we'd be celebrating because we're behind the takeover, Clearly, it's still a political minefield. Let's be honest, it's always going to be a political minefield for people whose politics kind of lead you that way. So, yeah, by all means, feel free to protest what you want. We've got people gluing themselves to roads. We've got people living in trees. We've got people, gaffer taping themselves to goalposts or whatever. They are making a point. I think fundamentally, for me, it gets acknowledged. I'll glance over the road and say, right, there's the protest, fair play to you, whatever. and then I'll go in, I'll have 6 pints and I'll watch Newcastle beat Chelsea. So yeah, I hope nothing spills over, Steve. I hope, as much as we're behind the club and behind the takeover, we can respect other people's wishes and concerns. But fundamentally, I guess like any other like any other political protest, if you like, for me, is it going to change the end result? Is Al Ramayan going to look out the window of the Milburn and say, do you know what, we're walking away? Then you're right. It's not going to be on that level. The takeover's through. The Premier League have signed it, and the board are the board. So protest away for all that. For all I care, people can protest every week, as long as it doesn't affect the atmosphere. It certainly doesn't affect the football match, because what we don't want to do is have these things spilling inside the stadium, because then you're looking at sanctions from the league and rule breaking and all the rest of it. So as long as it stays outside St James's Park, and as long as it's safe and nobody gets carried away and does something they might later regret, fair play.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Good stuff. Well covered. Okay, Paul, we're bringing you in next, and then Kevin. Good evening, Paul.
Very good evening, lads.
Very good evening. Yeah, 100%. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Been up to Leeds today to pick Mum up and my sister. They're in the other room at the moment, so you might hear a little bit of background noise.
Okay,
that's my sister up and downstairs and stuff like that. But,
what do you think about Newcastle, then, mate? I'm sure we'll not hear them. What do you make about Newcastle?
Well, trip up was good, even though it started down all the way. But like I say, I met you in the Dog and Parrots, and I burst out laughing to Lee when the draw happened. I couldn't move for laughing. I was like, I've never had that before.
So if anybody wasn't at the Dog and Parrot, just an abridged version, usually with a raffle, you pick out a raffle ticket and you announce it, and people then come forward and win a prize. I had to draw 15 tickets out of that raffle bucket before we had a winner. 15 people had left the bar before it was done. Absolutely hilarious. But never mind, we did get a winner. For the booby prize, we didn't get a winner. I just gave it away to somebody at the front because I was that sick of drawing raffle tickets out. It was taking up the whole day. It actually took less time reading out the team and the substitutes than it did doing the raffle. But anyway, Paul, it gave you a laugh before you went up anyway, and that was good. And at least everyone had an opportunity to win.
Yeah, I mean, I says to the lads, I says, like, we'll walk a different route this time. And went to go, like, cut through towards Sir Bobby's garden, and got to the top looking at the Strawberry pub. And I was looking at the pub, I didn't see the fencing, for that car park they've got at St James's. And as we went to walk up the road, there's a guy sitting there playing his guitar, and like, I can't get through. Do you know what I mean? So I had to go around, and went round onto Percy Street to Barclays, and then up that way. And I got a tweet this morning off one of the program sellers. Goes, "Oh, I've seen you coming past us." He says, "Next time, can you pop in and say hello and that?" So that's a Chelsea game. That's when we're up next.
All right. But, what did you think of the game then, Paul? After all of this palaver getting to the game, what did you think of it?
The first half, I've never had a first half like that in my entire life. It was stretched out, and that keeper, as soon as he went down like a bag of hammers, get him off, get the doctors and get him sorted. And the thing is, I mean, you know, Keith, as well. We need to give a letter to the Premier League, because 11 minutes where he was lying on the pitch. I mean, it's football. The deuce. If there's an injury in rugby, it stops. And like I say, I mean, first half was stretched, and I tried to record as much as I could, but the result, wow. And for Mia, Dad, and Amanda's anniversary, superb. I gave me letter to Steve Hasty at the food bank, give a little donation as well, because
Brilliant
at the
stuff.
end of the day, you know, that's what we're up for. I mean, I've still got me bet still holding at the minute, top 4. And as I say, we're coming up to that unfortunate World Cup break. But the higher we are in the league, we've got a little buffer zone. Do you know what I mean? And that buffer zone is going to carry us through to say, what, late March or middle of March. And then it's up to the owners to turn around and like go into the dressing room and say, right, Howie, let's push for whatever. I'm hoping it's top 4.
Paul, as always, great to have you on. We've only got 10 minutes left, so I'm going to bring in Kevin. But Paul, thanks very much for coming on, and I'll see you at the Chelsea game, hopefully.
Yes, you will.
Good stuff, mate. Take care. Speak to you soon, pal.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. And last, but by no means least, Joe's favourite person from America is Kevin, by the sounds of it. How are you, Kev?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Very good, mate. And did you have a good birthday?
I still am.
You still are?
No, like
Good.
I said, Joe's sentiment, I thought when you said a friend from America, I thought it was me, but next thing I know, it's Jimmy. Well, Jimmy lives in Atlanta. He lives downtown and stuff, so in the same state and in the same city. So it's nice to see Jimmy on there. And I was just giggling away. With the football and the American football. I was like, yeah, I've acclimated well, so I can understand his sentiments against Joe's comments. We'll just say that.
Good stuff, mate. What did you make of the game then?
Well, to the little thing, I was coaching. I had the game and I missed the second half. Unfortunately, the best parts of it, to be fair. But I watched the extended highlights. So like everybody said, the first part was bitty, and Villa came for what they wanted to get, and unfortunately, fortunately for us, it wasn't successful. Yeah. So, watching the extended highlights and watching other highlights from what we can from here from NBC and stuff like that, I thought it was just, again, once the first goal goes in, it's just a matter of time of how many we're going to get, and I said to the missus, I said, look, at the end of the day, it's bringing back to, like I've told you fellas, it's this the Keegan era, it's not how many, it's not when, it's how many at the end of the day. And that's the great thing about it. You watch a game, it's like, okay, when we're going to score first, okay, if we're not that we're going to concede. If we concede, well, it's all right. We'll just respond and rebound, and we'll go forward again. And that doesn't matter. We're going to get more goals. And I mean, the amount of chances we created, it could, like people have said, it could have been 6 or 7 or 8. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I would say, I
was going to agree with you. I mean, like the predictions before a game, Kevin, are something which we do on a Friday night on the Amigos, and making a prediction is it's getting a bit easier now because we're actually scoring goals. Callum Wilson's been has changed things massively. He's
a talismanic striker essentially. He's a big lad up front who you can put a ball into. He'll play it back to goal. He'll be on the end of things in the 6-yard box. Well, the second goal essentially is, I've worked on that as a coach. And I mean, it's a simple Google search, by the way. It's not rocket science. You can just do a quick Google of a corner routine and it'll pop up on some whatever site it is. So I've worked on that myself. Normally with the players I work with, it's normally knocked back on the ground. But obviously with the level of players that we have, it's dinked up into the air and we can get a head on it. Just with regulations that we have here in the United States, we can't head the ball at certain ages and things like that. So we've got to manipulate the set play, if you will. Yeah, but I mean, he's like, I think the Migos said on, and I see what the professionals, with Miggy, the way he's playing, Callum Wilson's integral to that, because he can't, he's not running everywhere. He does run everywhere. Of course he does. He covers every blade of grass. But at the same time, he's understanding his movement, his connection with Bruno, the Trippier relationship. But I said this, and I told my mum this the other day after the game, because she still works in the Gallagher club at the stadium. And she missed 2 goals, by the way, but it said so did I. But, you know, and I watched this in Atlanta when he played for Atlanta United. I've seen this every week. I've seen this how he played every week with Joseph Martinez, who's the main focal point of the striker. Laziest footballer in the world, but he'll score goals. But it's the way Miggy drifted in from the right side and make an inside run. He's driving from middle as a number 10, and he was creating things, and he was the best thing. He was the best player in the whole team, and that's why we bought him, obviously. But you know, so I've seen that for years, and I was just biding my time, biting my tongue, and saying, you just watch and wait and see what happens when he gets actual goals, when he gets confidence, when he's played in the right place, when not that the smile can get any bigger, but when the smile gets bigger, you know, and he's just loving life and playing football, and that's what we all love to see. You know, I'm not saying he's better than ASM, but I think he brings more to the game than ASM. Might be controversial, but I think he gives more. And yes, his creativity's improved, his output's improved. You could even ask and say, well, has Maxi done that? In the same breath. But that's just my opinion. You know, I'd see it from different angles and see it, because I think Maxi gives the ball away too much in the final third and all the rest of it. But yeah, so I'm just living the dream, mate, and I'm enjoying my birthday weekend at the end of the day, you know, and my team won 2 in a row. We're jumping up the league, and yeah, so repping them tonight. And
well done.
Well, yeah. Hey, this is what I do. This is my job. So I've got to, you know, promote them on here as best I can. You know, I've got a big, broad base, so I've got to represent my club who I work for, and, you know.
Good stuff, mate. No, good stuff. Joe, what do you make of what Kevin's had to say tonight?
Yeah, I was just going to ask Kevin, in terms of consistency, you talk about Miggy Almiron playing for Atlanta, and it seems like a long time ago now, but in terms of consistency, is this what he was like every week?
Pretty much. I mean, you know, you'd have the off day, but at the same time, but he was creating, you would bring other players into play. He was the talisman. He was like Darren Eales. He was like the number one one of the first signings, you know, within the trades and stuff, what to do over here. It's like a complex process, but he was one of the first ones in. So then you see the match cam, or see the videos afterwards when Darren Eales embraced Miggy as if like the best mates. Well, yeah, because we were there from day one together. So I think that's had a lot to do with it. And I think he can fall on to him, as well as saying, not dropping a phone call or dropping, you know what I mean? So he was like that regularly. And he got MVP, league MVP. Well, Joseph Martinez got league best player for that season, and we won the championship over here. But he was integral to why Joseph Martinez scored all those goals. He just literally put it on a plate for him every time, and he was just, you know, lethal in front of goal. But it was his work rate, his energy, he lifted the crowd. He you know, what we see now, he just had a 2-year hiatus, you know, essentially. Unfortunately, he was bruised. You know, he just didn't know where to play him. You know, unfortunately, now saying just stick him in as a 10, just put him somewhere where he's going to be more effective. Not in a defensive fight. Not, you know, when we played a 5 in midfield. Not putting him as a left wing back, or that you're just destroying the player. So put him as just off the forward, somewhere around in there where he can make things happen. Well, now we're seeing the fruits of that. Like I said, with the Callum Wilson thing, is Wilson's the main focal point of the attack. Like Chris Wood, and I believe you, Steve, I was willing him. I just want him to score. He could go on off his arse end. I don't really care. I just want him to score. So, you know, he's a big lad. He's like a talismanic forward. He's back to goal type of forward. But he just needs that confidence to wear a goal. Something. Yeah. Just something for him to go for his way. Not that he's not a bad player. I don't think he's a bad player at all. I think he just brings something different. But if you have somebody like that with Miggy and ASM or Murphy or whoever it is on the other side, or whoever would possibly bring in the January window, then
People talk about that, Kevin. If you think about, we've got Sam Maximin's going to come back in, and he will potentially. January's coming, if not the summer. You're looking at people like Maddison, maybe. Yeah. And we've also got a player called Isaac who cost us 60 million quid. Does Miggy Almiron stay in that team, though?
That I would, to be honest. I would look at the other side. I would maybe put Miggy out on the other side and put Isaac on the right side. Just a thought.
Not play Sam Maximin.
No.
Right.
I mean, look, some people love it. He's Marmite. You know, he's one of those ones. He's the maverick of the whole group, and he'll give you brilliance. Look, fantastic. But at the same time, I think he's more now where we've spent 63 million on Isaac. We've got Miggy flying. We've got Callum Wilson who's scoring now goals. He's 6 and whatever it is, 6 and 9 or something like that, whatever the stat is. But now if you've got somebody, I wouldn't play Isaac up alongside Wilson. I would keep it as a 4-3-3 and play Isaac either side of Miggy, vice versa, whichever you want to look at it, and bring Maxi on as an impact sub, you know, and not maybe offload him, but just see how, obviously he's injury prone. He's very tender. He's like a filet mignon. He could snap it, you know, like Wilson. But again, it seems like his recuperation, he's further behind than what Wilson was at the same time within the same injury, essentially, with his hamstring or his calf, whatever it is. You know, we'll pick up muscle injuries, but at the same time as well, you know, what's your recovery process like? What's your recovery time? Is that going to be beneficial to us going further forward?
It just shows you how people are built, though, doesn't it? I mean, Almiron's literally, he's running around like, you know, he's like Usain Bolt, isn't he, for 70 minutes? And yet he's managing to avoid the hamstrings and the calf injuries and the tears and such like. So again, it's interesting to think about the makeup of a player, because Sam Maximin, he's all muscle, isn't he? You know, he's a big, fine, strong lad. And Miggy looks like he's about 4.5 stone dripping wet, and yet
he's got hamstrings like elastic bands.
Yeah. But he's the one that's
some players are like that. It's incredible.
Yes, it's the physique of the player. So again, from my perspective, I would look at it as well. What is Isaac's recovery period time? You know, he's got a reoccurrence of we spent £63 million on him. So what's his recovery time look like? I mean, we're going to give him longer until after the World Cup. Great. Integrate him into the club, get him into the Saudi Arabia trip, get him integrated into the team that way. But Maxi's been there. He's been done through all of that, and he's still jetting off to France whenever and doing his own recovery. XYZ. Looks like Isaac stayed where he's meant to be. I don't know if he's been around it, whatever, probably has. However, he's integrated himself properly.
How made it at the press conference, Kevin? So I'll interrupt you on this, because at the press conference last weekend, he did say about ASM. And for me, it alluded to the fact that previous recoveries, he hasn't maybe done things that he maybe should have done. What he said was that he's been very pleased with the way that he has conducted his recovery. He's been doing 2 sessions at the training ground and a further 3rd session at home on this occasion. So that would lead me to think that potentially in the past, he hasn't done that.
Right.
And that is maybe the experts at the club saying he's not doing really what he should be doing. So we're not going to get this sorted unless he does that. So that was my interpretation. I could be completely wrong.
Totally agree. That's what I read into it. That's why it's the comment what I said in terms of his recovery process, because I listen on a Friday when I can over here to listen to Eddie Howe's press conference, because I think it's eloquent. He'll give you what you need and he'll give information out. And we not read between the lines. It's like, okay, I understand what you're saying, and it's, you know, what this is.
I agree with you, though. I agree with you. I think impact sub. Paul Charlton in the chat says exactly the same. ASM equals impact sub. It's a good shout. And I think what we also have to remember is that all of these players at the club aren't necessarily going to be here in the next couple of years. And you made the point about outgoings. There will be outgoings. We will have to get used to part of this process of building the bastion of invincibility at St James's Park is going to be letting players go. And
we can't hold emotional. We can't hold an emotional connection. Yes, we want to hold an emotional connection to these players. Of course we do, because they're playing in a black and white shirt every weekend and giving everything for us. Absolutely, but unfortunately, football's a cruel game.
Yeah,
it's a business. It is what it is. You know,
there can't be many other clubs in world football at the minute that you'd want to behave yourself and listen to your manager and listen to your physios. Because if it meant for me that I was going to go on and play in the Champions League and cup finals and God knows what for Newcastle United, as things are at the minute, or not particularly do as I'm told, continue to be a maverick and end up, you know, playing for a middle of the table French league side, I think I'd start behaving myself, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and that's the point. I think the penny's dropped because the uprising Murphy. I mean, I've had a thing against Jacob Murphy every time he came on, and so it was like you know, you put your head in your hands, it's like, oh no, what we're going to get? It's like a box of chocolates. Essentially, you just never know what's going to come out of it. But he's actually listened, done what the coaching team are telling him to do, and then improving him day by day, week by week, and he's still can't score. But that's another thing. That's another debate for another day. But again, with Maxi, it's you have to do that too. You just can't show up when you want. You can't do what you want. You can't just be isolated. He's isolated himself. And you know the stories were back in the even pre-season when they were built new buildings and stuff like that. He was parking his car and he left his car over the summer and he didn't move it. And you know, just stuff like that. It was like, no, come on, son, you got to fit in with what's going on here. And again, it's not like a dictatorship what Eddie Howe's running, but it's my way or no way, or our way or no way. And this is how it's going. If you don't like it, well, guess what? You've got a bit of market value, which we can probably get some money for you. So it's up to you. If you want to be involved, be involved. If you don't want to be involved, guess what? There's a transfer window around the corner, and we'll quite happily sell you, and we'll get somebody in who wants to be here. If you don't want to be here, don't be here. I tell my players that all the time. If you look, don't waste my time. Don't waste the club's time. Don't waste. You know, I coach 4 nights a week, so don't waste my time. So if he's going to do that with the club and still get paid well, and not perform and play and get product and score goals and all the things that he said in terms of I'm the best player in the world, I'm going to win the Ballon d'Or. You know what he said in the past, whatever. No, you're not. And I'm sorry, you're not. I think you're very impactful what you do and what you bring. But in terms of longevity, the Miggies, the Isaacs, offer Wilson, even if maybe a better forward than Wilson further down the road. You know, so I would build around that. And then the other midfield threes, another debate. I'll probably play Joe Willock in there and Jeff Murphy up left side, and you know, just tinker it a little bit of what he's already been with, what he's known, and what he trusts. Because I don't think he trusts Maxi at this point, essentially, because you don't know what you're going to get.
Great stuff. Great crack as always. Tim agrees with me. Great crack from Kevin. Kev, great stuff, mate. Enjoy the final throes of your birthday, and hopefully catch you on the show.
It's Halloween tonight, so I've got to go tumbling around in the state with the stepdaughters and stuff like that. So that's going to be interesting.
Well, Joe's got blankets over the doors and everything, so he's blocking the light out.
I'm turning all the lights off. I'm just going out the house, so nobody's going to be knocking on my doors.
Thanks for coming on, Kev. Keep it well, mate.
See
you soon.
Yeah, just let me know when you come back on, yeah.
Cheers, mate. Take care. Bye-bye. Great to have Kevin on. Donald says, really enjoyed listening to Kevin, better than the pundits. And Cesare, in response to Alan saying that Wood's going to be sold, says, I don't think Wood will be sold in January. Eddie's been using Wilson sparingly, and Wood has been useful for not overexerting Wilson. He may have another injury and Howe may need to rest Isaac. Great to hear from Kevin, says Tom. Yeah, it's always good to have everybody on. So thanks to everybody for chatting tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure, Joe. The Monday Club. We're going to go and shut the doors. I need to go and lie down and prepare myself for being an evil, violent psychopath tomorrow. And only joking. It's an acting job, Joe. It's an acting job, Joe. Yes, live show tomorrow though, 7 o'clock. I will be here with Geordie's here. Geordie's there tomorrow night. There will probably be a pre-record Wednesday. I will be live probably with Supermac and Gibbo 7:30 on Thursday. And the Amigos will be live 5 till 7 Friday. So it's not a bad week this week for NUFC Matters regulars. I'll probably stick a George Mitchell special on Wednesday night for everybody. So you won't have a night without NUFC Matters. And next week, we'll get back to the drawing board and let you know exactly what's going on with that. But Joe, as always, pleasure, mate. Look forward to seeing you soon. And everybody else in the chat, all the moderators, take care. See you tomorrow night. Take care.
See you guys.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, starting with Skips and Bins, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website skipsandbins.com, easy contract free and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks to Darren Baldwin Funerals. You can find them at 304 Old Durham Road on Gateshead. Telephone 0191 478 273 or email Darren at darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk or the website darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk. Thanks to Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD hemp and cannabinoid specialists. Their website is thegohd.com. And thanks to 3 Property Investments, who specialize in sourcing investment properties for their clients who are looking to invest in the Northeast. They offer a full in-house service from sourcing the deals to managing the properties for you. They've done over 100 plus deals in the past 12 months for clients all over the UK. Give the guys a follow on Instagram, matty.patter_northeastproperty and phil.reed_northeastproperty, or email phil@3property.co.uk should you be interested in getting a good property deal. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's sauces, which are handmade in Cumbria. You can order them by going to the website, mrvickys.co.uk, or by calling 01768 210 102. Thanks to the guys at Blowhole Brewery. You can find them at blowholebrewery.co.uk. Got a vast range of beers. They're a new brewery company, and their cans are suitably addressed, like the Geordie Juice here, in the strips of Newcastle United from the 90s. Big thank you to Media Arts for all the help with the video side of things, and to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle, and the guys who run our website. If you want to subscribe, then hit the subscription button. If you want to hit the likes, then hit the thumb up. And please share to your social media. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes and Spotify, and the rest goes up 24 hours after the show has finished. If you want to join, well, you can click join underneath the video and become a member for a small fee. If you want to pay the £25 fee and get a cup, a pen, a scarf, a membership card, and entry into the monthly draw, then go to the website, nufcmatters.com, and click membership, or use your smartphone on the QR code, which will take you straight there. We also give you a free car sticker. If you're a subscriber, simply email John at nufcmatters.com to claim your free car window sticker today. We also support the food bank on here. NUFC fans foodbank.co.uk is where you can find the matchday bucket and make a virtual donation 365 days of the year. We still do a lot of events in and around the region. If you want to see Supermac pre-match and after-match, you can go to the Dog and Parrot in Newcastle and hear Malcolm give his views on the game and listen to what he has to say about his career as well. Always a great afternoon. Kids are welcome. Good food, good beer. And get yourself into Pumphrey's. You can always see John Anderson and John Gibson in there pre-match on the Cloth Market in Newcastle. A couple of events coming up in 2023, an evening with Peter Beardsley, Friday the 10th of February at St Dom's Catholic Club. You can get the tickets direct from the venue. And Peter Beardsley is also at the Tyneside Irish Centre on Friday, February the 17th. Tickets available from Woucher for that one. Get yourself on the Woucher, make a cracking Christmas present for any Newcastle fan. Also, an evening with Rob Lee, Lee Clark and John Beresford, Friday the 2nd of June, 2023 at the Grand Hotel in Gosforth. Tickets for that are available from www.healandtour.uk/events. And if you fancy a Christmas jumper, get the Bruno Christmas jumper from NUFCmatters.com.